RAW does and what the RAW doesn't do. That's very important to know. And I hope most of you have seen the film. Starting with the Indian Muslims who went there in 1947, who were called as Muhajirs. The Muhajirs were the first major wave of migrants. Muhajir leader was one fellow called Altaf Hussain. He was controlling Karachi far more effectively than any police or any law and order system could control. In fact, Altaf Hussain had his commanders sector-wise in Karachi. And the police officer who is posted there first would go and report to the sector, MPM sector. And so with the Bhutto family. You know, Karachi is the capital of Sindh. You must remember one thing about Pakistan. Pakistan is heavily dominated by Punjab. The Punjabi population of Pakistan, particularly the Punjabi bureaucracy, Punjabi army, these are the fellows who control Pakistan like a vice, like grip. They have like a wild dog. In fact, General Musharraf openly said, "I will hit you in such a manner that you will not know what has hit you." And he went into hiding in a cave, and Musharraf sent a squadron of helicopter gunships to bomb the cave. And he died along with his handful of supporters who hid in that cave. Afghanistan, and then he is now seeking asylum in Switzerland. He's alive. He is very much alive in Switzerland. So there is still the hope of Baluchi independence movement. And there are actually migrated to Karachi because of the independence struggle going on there and the army atrocities going on in Balochistan. So they migrated large scale into Karachi. And all these fellows, because when you migrate, you are left with nothing excepting for one suitcase you carry in your hand, or so there are 1 plus 3 fellows. By the way, Advani was the deputy PM and also Home Ministry portfolio. So one of our chief, Mr. Dulat, Amar Singh Dulat, was the special advisor to Atal Bihari Vajpayee on Kashmir. Incidentally, at that time the governor was one gentleman called Gary Saxena, who was also a former RAW chief. Gary Saxena was the governor of J&K. 26th in the 5 days, 31st the negotiation night. 31st the negotiations were over. I think 30th or 31st itself. 31st morning, Jaswant Singh actually goes in a special aircraft with these terrorists being handed over to the Pakistani side. Incidentally, I asked him how were the negotiations taking place. Was that fellow sitting in front of Ajit Doval and were they talking like that? He said no, it never happened like that. The terrorists who were inside there were of the Pakistan ISI. But still, they maintained their independence and they told us very clearly, we are not, which is very true. So anyway, on 26/11, I will come to that later on. That was the first televised terrorist attack in India, where every detail was being shown by every TV channel. So much so that we had to finally tell the TV channels to stop this nonsense, because the same TV channel is being watched by the handlers sitting in Karachi, who are given. They show this as a weakness of the government at that time. Okay, and later on, they even show various other incidents. Clips are shown. 2001 Parliament attack, and then Pulwama attack is, of course, that is a centerpiece. Pulwama attack of 2019 is a centerpiece. I will come to that later. So these are shown as weakness of the government, which is now being remedied by this character called Dhurander, who is in Pakistan and is hitting them hard where it hurts. And this Dhurander is being handled by Ajit Sadyal, who is Ajay Doval. I will stick to Ajit Sadyal. I will not mention Doval. That is not. If there is any press wala here, he will say that I spoke against Doval. So that is not my intention. Doval is a very fine officer. He is a very, very good intelligence operator and a fantastic operator. I worked briefly with him. Though not directly, he was in IB, I was in RAW. By the way, one very important thing you must know is that IB does not deal with international operations. IB is meant for domestic intelligence collection. Okay, and RAW does all the international operations. RAW is the agency meant for collecting external intelligence and also meant for external operations. So there is a blurring of the line. We don't know whether Ajit Sanyal is raw chief or IB chief or is NSA. He's probably all three, but he's basically shown as NSA in the final phase. Now coming back to the reality portion. Lahori district is real, Karachi city under the underworld is very real, Rahman Baba Dakat is real, Amele, Chaudhry Chaudhry Aslam Khan, he is SP of Karachi. He is a real character. These were actually there. You Google them, you will find them. Actually, you Google Operation Larry, you will find a lot of information about that. Actually, an Operation Larry happened. That is a cleaning up of the Larry. And incidentally, Karachi being the constituency of the PPP, all the Larry Gundas were growing under the patronage of the PPP party. He is Rawal Bhutto has got elected from same province of Lahori district and Karachi. And everybody in Pakistan is a party of criminals and thugs. I mean, we support criminals. There it is much more obvious. So, this Rahman Dakat was involved in all kinds of things. Drug running and counterfeit notes. And that is a very important chapter in this. Although, let me explain this. Not printed by them. Khanani Brothers does not print them. They are printed by the ISI. There is no doubt about it. So, in fact, any in the countries that you want to finish off, their passports, their ID cards. Idu now martiyo, avaru martare. Stay back. When I think Gujarat was Prime Minister, he said, we will stop so many covert operations. That is there. If you Google that also, you will find out. Bomb blast, I'll theatre bomb blast ಆಗ್ತಾ So I'll but I'll stop it. Nam kade stop it. Terrorist operations have been going on right up to Pahalgam. Going back to the foreign fake Indian currency notes, Khanani was supplying in huge quantities. In fact, at one point of time, Khanani became the world's largest money laundering agent. In fact, the US agencies wanted to get him. Finally, he was arrested by the US authorities in Panama. This is also available online. So he was put behind bars in American prison and he was released in 2020 or something like that. So these are all real characters. Now, one dialogue in there, film. That is what I want to bring your attention to. That they say that an Indian finance minister and his son went to Dubai and handed over the currency plates to Khanani. Okay, this is complete bullshit. It never happens like that. It never happened like that. And nobody can actually take the currency plates out of the printing press. This I got it from my friend who is head of the RBI printing press in Mysore. In fact, he is a friend of mine. I called him over. I said, "अरे भाई सुनो इसके बारे में बात करो." He said, "Sir, phone पे बात नहीं करिए आप. मैं आपके घर आता हूँ." So these are very sensitive matters. So he came over and he explained to me that currency plates cannot be taken out of the printing press, okay? And nobody handed over the currency plates. This is one unnecessary propaganda which they are doing, very vicious propaganda. So what exactly happened was, there's a British company called De La Rue. De La Rue makes the currency printing paper. And De La Rue has been, and the controversy which, in fact, after Dhurander, every national newspaper is trying to get the details, who gave the contract, who broke the contract. Who was a British company which was given the contract in 1916, won by the Britishers, and they gave it to all the Commonwealth countries, right from Myanmar to Egypt. They were supplying the printing paper. Okay, the plates are made by their own countries. And the paper has the security features, like a secret thread, the color combinations. So every country gives different color combinations and they make according to that, they make the paper and supply. So this paper was Pakistan went and gave the same order to the same company to make paper for them is nonsense. Pakistan has been getting this from 1947 and we are getting it. It did not happen during Chidambaram's time as they are trying to make out. Because in the film, the implication or the imputation is that Chidambaram and his son went and gave it to some Kanani fellow. That never happened. So the printing currency paper, this contract was going on up to 2016 or so. At that time, 2016, 2012, Pranab Mukherjee cancelled the contract to this British company. Why he cancelled the contract, the details are not available. But 2 years later, when Pranab Mukherjee was changed and Chidambaram became the finance minister, Arvind Mayaram, who was the revenue secretary, he writes a letter to Chidambaram saying that there is an extreme shortage of this currency paper of this quality with this kind of security features. So we must revoke the cancellation and go back to this company to supply the paper. So Chidambaram agrees to that recommendation. So that's what happened. So now the argument as to who made a killing, the person who cancelled the contract or the person who revoked the contract made a killing, we don't know. Whether it is Pranab Mukherjee or Chidambaram, nobody knows. And these things are difficult to establish. And incidentally, if there was any proof available, the next government would have put Chidambaram behind bars for at least the last 10 years. And he is not behind bars. So that it means that there is no serious allegation against any particular finance minister in this matter. Now, the fact is that Kanani brothers were printing in fake Indian currency notes. Or they were not printing, ISI was printing and they were supplying it all over the world. They were supplying, actually, it came to India through Qatar, through Dubai, through Nepal. And when I was in service, I used to hear reports that the fake Indian currency is coming through Nepal and also even through the Kerala port. I had some reports that some container load of his currency notes are coming into India. So we used to get this. This is real, and the fake Indian currency notes were coming into the Indian market, no doubt. And one of the reasons given by Modi government for demonetization is to eliminate fake Indian currency notes. Besides elimination of black money, fake Indian currency notes, and terror funding, these are the three major reasons given for demonetization. And as it happened later on, 99.5% of the money actually came back into the banks after demonetization. So we don't know whether the banks are still full of currency notes, fake currency notes or real currency notes. Anyway, those currency notes disappeared. So that 100 rupee note, 500 rupee note and 1000 rupee notes disappeared. Now we have got 500 rupee notes, 1000 rupee notes in Mysore and Nasik. These are now the currency notes that we are having in our pockets. So that matter rests there. Now, why would a fellow called Hamza Bazari Ali, a planted by Ajit Sagyal into Karachi and the world, why would he come to meet Kanani brothers? And why would he come to meet ISI officer? That's more interesting. ISI officer tells Dakat Baloch that you get us Russian and Chinese weapons, which we have to give it to our terrorists fighting in Kashmir. And we will give you the money, you get us the weapons. And impossible, this will never happen. No ISI officer will trust a Baloch leader. And no Baloch leader worth his salt will go to ISI officer to do any work for ISI. Because ISI has been killing the Baloch people like wild dogs and leaving their bodies on the streets. They have killed women, children, men, everybody, and they just leave them on the streets as a lesson to the people of Balochistan. So this is how we can treat you if you rebel against our government. So that kind of a character will never go to ISI to help them out to get weapons. Secondly, ISI does not need any gangster to get weapons. Afghanistan is full of such weapons. They can just go to Afghanistan and pick it up through their contacts in Taliban. It's very easy for the ISI to pick up those weapons. Or secondly, Pakistan has got its own ordnance factories. Pakistan has got 14 ordnance factories. They make their own rifles, all kinds of rifles. Assault rifles, snipers, and submachine guns, machine guns, all of them. So it is not difficult if you tell them make 10,000 weapons without any marking, they will do it. It is done here also. Suppose we want to hand over some weapons to somebody, we tell our ordnance factories, make some weapons without, every weapon has a marking of the factory and a particular number, a serial number. And every weapon is accounted for right from the manufacturing stage to the handing over to the army stage. So you have to only tell the chief of the ordnance factories that I want 10,000 guns without any marking. So they make it and then you hand it over to any terrorist you want. That ISI could have easily done. So that's where that argument is nonsense, a fiction. So now we have taken care of ISI 814, IC 814. Acha, now coming to Mumbai attack, 26/11. This fellow, Dhurander, sitting there, he is sending reports to NSA, Mr. Dole, Ajit Sanyal, saying that एक बहुत बड़ा अटैक होने वाला है मुंबई पर, उसका डेट अभी नहीं मालूम. Okay, he informs, and Sanyal tells him, get me as many details as possible. Okay, and surprisingly, the ISI officer is discussing this operation in front of this fellow, in front of Rahman Dakait and his sidekicks, Hamza Mir Ali and Uzair Baloch. So, the Mumbai attack takes place. And that fellow is watching it in Karachi, apparently in Karachi on the TV, and he's shocked. I gave so much inputs on the government of India did not do anything. And it was in this context or some other context, the NSA tells one of his senior officers, some intelligence input is given to him, and he says, I'm waiting for a truly nationalist government to come to power. That time I will hand over the citadel. Or something like that, he says. Okay? That is unthinkable. That's unthinkable for any intelligence chief or the NSA to withhold an intelligence input from being passed on to the Home Minister or the Prime Minister in real time. If we do it at our level, normally all intelligence input is on a daily basis, we pass it on to the SP concerned of that district. Suppose we get an input, something is happening in Kashmir or in Srinagar or in Mumbai or in Calcutta, we immediately pass on the inputs to, on real-time basis to the SP concerned. Okay. Then we inform other senior officers in Delhi, because the SP is the one who has to act on it. So, in a similar manner, if a simple officer of IB and RAW can do it, no NSA or chief can sit on an intelligence. And I remember going and giving some intelligence input at 7 o'clock in the night to my chief, and he immediately went to PMO and passed it on. So these things happen on a real-time basis. So that is complete bullshit that the NSA will say, I'm waiting for a truly nationalist government to come to power, then I will give to them. Trying to say that the present government is a Nikama government, they are not nationalists. So it is an act of anti-national act by the NSA if you sit on it. So that is also, it is completely vicious propaganda. You should not accept it. Now coming back to 26/11. 26/11 ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮಗೆ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು intelligence inputs ಇತ್ತು. Okay, forget Dhurander, now I'm talking about reality. We had inputs. We had inputs that an attack will take place on Bombay through the sea, which was very surprising because so far attacks have taken place only through the land route by crossing over the LOC or the international border. LOC is the border which is abutting Kashmir Valley, Srinagar. International border is the border from Jammu to Rajasthan. That is international border. So, ಇದು ಸೀನ್ ರೂಟ್ನಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಅಟ್ಯಾಕ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ ಬಂತು, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿತ್ತು. And we had informed major installations in Bombay. We had informed Bark, we had informed major hotels like the Taj Gateway and Oberoi, And so all the security installations were informed. And I know for sure that both Oberoi and Taj had upped their security for nearly 2 weeks. And it did not happen in that particular period. So they stood down in their security. So they relaxed their security. And this attack happened at that particular period. Now, as you know, it happened in Chhatrapati Shivaji railway station, it happened in Hotel Taj, and also Oberoi and that Jewish synagogue, all these places. It was coming to us. So, and of course, we reacted to it. There were some flaws in the reaction time and all that, and we lost about 160 people in Bombay Hotel, and that was a major terror attack. Okay, so that is taken as the response to that attack by the then government of Manmohan Singh is taken as a sign of a Nikamma government, which is now being projected as that government is different and what this government is different. What we are doing now is government uske maarte hain. Okay, so that is what is happening now. Now you must remember one thing. Even after 2014, 3 or 4 major attacks have taken place. Pathankot happened in 2016. 2016, Uri attack happened. Then 2019, the Pulwama attack happened, where 40 CRPF personnel died. And then 2025, we have Pahalgam attack. Okay, so terror attacks have been taking place. Whether it is Manmohan Singh government or Modi government, terror attacks have been taking place. Now the response. Let us talk about the response. So this is now, I'm going beyond the scope of Dhurander, but I'm just giving this as an input. You can take it or leave it. The Pathankot Uri attack, we carried out something called surgical strikes. Surgical strikes were carried out by our army personnel across the IB into the Pakistani territory, where we killed some of their soldiers. We do not know how many soldiers were killed. Those operational details were not known, but surgical strikes happened. But it was later on said that this is the first time that such surgical strikes have been done in response to a Pakistani terror attack. That is not correct. We have done surgical strikes in the northeast border. I've handled that. I mean, in the sense, I'm aware of that, and I was looking after that area at that time. So, Myanmar, there is a Naga group which is fighting the Myanmar government. And there is a Naga group in India which is fighting the Indian government in Nagaland. So we have used the Naga group of Myanmar to attack the Naga group in Nagaland. That thing has been done in long back. Okay, I don't know whether Manmohan Singh, not Manmohan Singh, even before that. So those things were being done routinely. We call it surgical strike, you call it anything. And I know that we handed over weapons to the Naga tribes in Myanmar to attack the Naga tribes in India, Nagaland. So that kind of wars have been going on. And we had the support of the Myanmar intelligence department at that time with us. We can't do it without their support. You must take the local government into confidence. So, no, that is surgical strike. Amele, Pulwama attack adamele, we carried out Balakot strike. Balakot strike was the first aerial strike where our aircraft crossed international border, went into Pakistan without declaring war, and we attacked certain targets. Now, it was announced by our foreign secretary, surprisingly foreign secretary, who should not be announcing it. It should have been announced by the army chief or by a spokesperson from the army or air force. But I remember the army foreign secretary because I know that man. I know him not very well, but I know. He was made to make this announcement that 300 terrorists were killed in area near Balakot. Okay. So obviously the press asked all kinds of questions. how do you know that 300 people were killed? Did you count them? And because you are carrying out attack from about 8,000 feet high, how the hell can you find out that you killed 300 people? It is impossible. So later on they said that missiles were dropped on certain houses or certain buildings which had housed these 300 people, okay? The next day, I remember Rajnath Singh made an announcement that 300 cell phones were found, which was a rather ridiculous statement for a defense minister to make, because nobody goes and counts cell phones. I mean, unless you bomb a cell phone shop, you don't find 300 phones. You don't go and bomb a cell phone shop. Okay, so it was not a very sensible remark to make. Then more questions were asked and more answers did not come. And Pakistan did a very smart thing. They took a team of BBC and CNN to the place and see, look, this is where India, and these are the trees we lost and 1 crore died. That's what the Pakistanis told, the BBC and CNN. So that came out in the international media. So now we were in a bind. We are saying 300 people were killed, 300 cell phones were found. They are saying some trees were destroyed. Finally, after a few months, Sushma Swaraj, who was the foreign minister, said not a single soldier or civilian was killed in Balakot operation. And she said, I have made this statement in the UN Security Council. Okay, so that practically put an end to that chapter. No terrorist, no soldier, no civilian was killed. So now you can do some hair splitting. That how did you kill? If you didn't kill a terrorist, you did not kill civilians, you did not kill soldiers. So how did you kill terrorists? Anyway, so that matter almost ended on a whimper, without much discussion after that, after Sushma Swaraj's statement. So that was Balakot. But now, after Pahalgam attack, everybody knows that we carried out Op Sindoor from May 5th to May 7th. And we carried out targeted strikes against certain locations of the terror hideouts. We knew that LET headquarters is Muridki in Pakistan. Okay, Muridki is a place near Lahore. Bahawalpur. Bahawalpur is south of Rawalpindi. In Bahawalpur we hit a mosque which was the hideout of Masood Azhar, Jaish-e-Mohammed. Masood Azhar's family, about 8 or 10 members were killed. That we have for sure information because Masood Azhar himself issued a press statement that I lost about 8 or 10 relatives of my family. So that was a remarkable success. We hit Muridke, we hit Bahawalpur. Then we carried out some other attacks. I think we carried out about 9 or 11 attacks on the first day. In retaliation, Pakistan carried out attacks on Indian territory. They attacked our army installations and air force installations. So, and at that time, there was this news that we lost some Rafale aircraft. We don't know for sure. Neither the army chief much that. Rafale engineers came from Paris. They had discussions in Delhi, and they checked the number of aircraft in our inventory and all that. So I don't know how many Rafales we lost, or did we lose any Rafales? It raised the escalatory level of war to a different level. BrahMos is a nuclear capable. It is a missile that can carry nuclear weapons. Okay, but we used conventional weapons. And we hit some airbase, Noor Inayat Khan base, and probably around that area, it was destroyed completely. And Pakistani Prime Minister himself went on record to say that I had given instructions to General Asim to carry out attacks on India next morning. But when this happened at 2 o'clock in the night or so, General Muni rang me up and said this happened. Then we called off that strike because this had really shaken them up because they knew that India was now going to escalate the ladder of violence or of attack. So they stood down after that. And meanwhile, Trump had already started his mediation. Marco Rubio had spoken to Jaishankar, and J.D. Vance had spoken to our some senior ministers, and I remember seeing that both Ajit Doval and Jaishankar going to Prime Minister's house and to the world that India had a very limited objective, and India has met those objectives, and India is behaving like a responsible power. ಅದು ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಏರ್ ವೈಸ್ ಮಾರ್ಷಲ್ ಕೂತಿದ್ರು ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನಲ್ಲಿ. He was very angry with me. He said, why should we stop? We are now on the we are having an upper hand. Why should we stop? This is the time we should hit hard. All kinds. And there was one young army officer who also said we should increase our tax on POK and all that. I said, it makes no sense. We had very clear objectives. When we started off Sindoor, our objective was to hit the terrorist targets, and we have done it. So 4 o'clock PM had announced the ceasefire. Anyway, so this is way beyond Dhurander. So now, I don't know, I think I have covered Dhurander enough. One operation in Dhurander, it is not a part of Dhurander. So all of you remember the name of Kulbhushan Yadav?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He is still in Pakistani jail. Okay.
Yes.
I did not want to mention Kulbhushan Yadav because I'm not sure as to whose operation it is. Because today morning I was browsing through some YouTube video channels, and I was surprised to see one Pakistani commentator who is born in Lari and who has lived in Lari for nearly 40 years talking about Lari operation. He mentioned Kulbhushan Yadav. He said Kulbhushan Yadav was enticed to come to Karachi by Uzair Baloch. Uzair Baloch is the one who takes over from Rahman Dakait in the film. Okay? Even in reality. In reality, Rahman Dakait is killed by the Pakistani army. Actually, the Pakistani army, Chaudhry SP Aslam and Pakistan Rangers carry out this operation Lari for nearly 4 years. 2013 in the 2017, they clean up the entire place. Avaga Rahman Dakait is killed. Then Uzair Baloch takes over from Rahman Baloch. Uzair Baloch was a big time drug smuggler. He actually belongs to Iran. He has somewhere he has met this fellow Kulbhushan Yadav. He brings Kulbhushan Yadav to Karachi with the promise of giving him some intelligence, and straight away hands him over to ISI. So that fellow is now in ISI custody. He is in Pakistani prison. So there were some reports, some 3-4 years ago, that we tried to catch one ISI agent in Nepal and then asked for a swap. We'll hand over this fellow, you hand over Kulbhushan Yadav. But ISI did not accept that. So Kulbhushan Yadav is still in, he's on a death row, by the way. The port which Iran has given to India for building infrastructure and for trade. This fellow was sent by an Andhra shipping company to go and explore opportunities for some shipping business. I don't know from there how the hell he landed up in Karachi is a big mystery. There are some crackpots, there are various crackpots who are all the time coming and telling us, I want to become a spy, I want to work in RAW, I want to go and kill them. How is handling this fellow? This is not our operation. This fellow is totally what is called a lone wolf. He lone wolf, that fellow is now on a death sentence by youngsters. But at that time, some police officer flashes his ID card and tells the police, you get lost. I mean, this is my operation. That police officer was Ajit Doval. Ajit Doval was actually cultivating Chota Rajan as a counter to Dawood. Okay, and this is known in some circles that. In fact, one of my friends told me that when you were talking about Karachi underworld and Ajit Doval, he said Ajit Doval always had a fascination for underworld and gangsters. I don't know why he is doing that in Karachi. I mean, well, that is said as a joke, but he actually operated with gangsters in Bombay, and he was cultivating Chota Rajan. But Chota Rajan was unable to eliminate Rahul. He has had this different kind of operational method.
Must have been a political interest. It must have served the present dispensation about what is portrayed in the film. In spite of their claiming that these are it's a fiction and whatever.
This is basically focusing on the atrocities committed by Pakistan Army in Bangladesh, where about 1 million people were killed and 400,000 women were raped. He wanted to make a film on the children of those raped women, and he wanted to call that as Bastards of War, which is an absolutely accurate title. And the censor board refused the use of the word bastards. In today's reality films, forget the word bastard. I mean, you can use any damn word. And there's so much Dakat kills Baba Dakat with a only 5 kilo weight. He hammers his head with a 5 kilo weight and kills him. And that is shown in gory detail. So that is what the censor board has come to today. It was violent, but this is at a different level. And more money made.
Murderers, criminals, and everybody to go deep into the Pakistani underworld. They're recruiting in raw. Is that true? Or?
The end of the film is Dhurander, Hamza Ali, is the fellow whose original name is Jaskirat Singh. Jaskirat Singh, who was actually on a death row penalty, he is taken out from the prison and sent to Karachi for this operation. Although that you go back to Sholay.
Recent media reports around killing of terrorists in Pakistan.
Media reports of what?
About various terrorists getting killed in Pakistan at a regular frequency and being ascribed to unknown men going after potential terrorists in Pakistan. Every few months you hear about this terrorist getting killed, that terrorist getting killed in Pakistan, and media not talking about it openly, just ascribing it to the Indian establishment, sort of using elements within Pakistan to kill terrorists that are hiding in Pakistan. Which Indian media refers to these now as the unknown men going after terrorists in Pakistan. Very obliquely.
Okay.
Pakistan as
Even
well.
in Pakistan, there were 1 or 2 people. But when America came down heavily on us after the attempted killing of Pannoon, suddenly that video disappeared from the YouTube. Okay. What does that show? And that showed that initially, as long as the going was good, somebody was willing to take the credit. But when the going was bad, they didn't want to take credit. So, what you are assuming implicitly, I'm in agreement.
The Dhurander character is inspired by Major Mohit. That's
No, actually, I read something about it, but
I believe that family has sued or something else also. That I read again. I don't know. That's why I wanted to ask you that question.
I also read about this so-called Major
Mohit Sharma.
I have not seen any news reports about Major Mohit Sharma being used for such violent activities anywhere. Look, I know about one actor recruited in Lucknow and implanted a deep penetration into Pakistan, and who was led there for nearly 20 years, who was told, you go get a degree in Pakistan, get into Pakistan Army. He did all that. He even married a Pakistani army officer's daughter, and he was sending very useful intelligence. He was called Operation Tiger. That Operation Tiger is what Salman Khan used in one of his films, which was a complete total disaster.
Major Mohit Sharma. It is inspired by him. He was a courageous officer, etc. And inspired by him.
The Sharma's story, the story is this. In fact, his family said that Dhurander reason my son did that the boy, the story is based on their son's doings.
Did-
Let me finish what I'm trying to say. But subsequently, the story is that he was an army officer who penetrated Jaish-e-Mohammed in Kashmir, and then he went to Pakistan, right? And then they were about to suspect him, of spying. Then he sent a message to Indian authorities, and the Indian authorities rescued him. This is the story. This
is my question also. If
it had nothing to do with Karachi.
My point is, if I meet Aditya Dhar, I will tell him the same thing, that if RAW or IB wants to plant somebody in Pakistan, we will not plant him in the underworld, we will plant him in the terrorist group. That is more useful for us. I mean, the terrorist gangs are going. So this whole story that Dhurander is around Rahman Nagar makes no sense. It's not of intelligence value.
My question is more about your tenure in RAW. That seems more interesting than Dhurander. So in corporate, we often compare, right, like Hyundai versus Maruti. How does RAW compare itself with Mossad and others? If you can be candid.
Okay, tell you one thing. RAW is very highly in the South Asian context. Okay, and we have regular exchange with other agencies, and they all value our inputs. And just as we blame a lot of things on ISI, Pakistan blames a lot of things on RAW. Okay, whether we have done it or not, they give a lot of credit to us. We go to Pakistan and say, "Ye RAW ne kar diya." And it's like that. So we are credited a lot by our enemies. But I must tell you one thing: in our neighborhood, that's where our bread and butter is. We don't make a big name by working in Europe and America. That's not our thing. Our operation is Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh.
And Canada?
Canada, we are not supposed to do. Actually, there is an agreement between the two agencies, between the two intelligence agencies, that we will not carry out any operations in each other's countries. It's a breach of promise. I would say that. Sri Lanka. So, Sri Lankan elections were coming up. So one British news journalist went to British embassy, American embassy, and the governments. And it is true, governments in the neighborhood.
Societies like Myanmar and China, is there any presence at all of RAW?
Presence in the embassies.
Okay, but
I'm sure as to we do not plant these people like mushrooms around the countryside. We don't know who is the intelligence officer. The officer who is in charge of visa and passports, he is the intelligence officer. They not to his country. Make him work for you. So that is your job. And most often for money, for good money, you can get very good fish.
sir, what about
Sir, first of all, Mr. Joshi, thank you for a very engrossing talk. You kept us spellbound for more than an hour. A few years ago, there was a movie made about a lady who married a Pakistani officer. And she was planted there and giving a lot of intelligence.
Indian lady.
You've seen it.
And then, suppose, yes, that's my mother also. Is this factual?
It's an IB operation. I have seen that film also.
So what was happening before that? Were we not having an intelligence agency? One.
No, it was handled by IB. IB was looking after both.
Normally we hear that different countries' agencies, intelligence. Have we, for instance, ever cooperated with ISI in any such mission?
No, we was at the exchange there. And I have gone to so many countries. I met them. They come to Washington. Everyone supports Pakistan. CIA is opposed to them. So
Misdeeds of RAW. What about the family member? How about the lady?
She asked them.
Does she also pick up the sense?
I would say it's a very interesting being a family. There are a lot of negatives. Often children get, very often the officers go on pseudonym. It's not their actual name, and the children's names are changed, and in the schools they have a problem. But you cope with that. That's not a big deal. When we were posted out, thankfully our names were not changed. We go as a diplomat's wife, so we have to fit into that diplomatic life. We change homes, we are uprooted from places. Good friends that we make on our postings, we cannot keep in touch with them. That's one of the big losses that we have.
That's a big loss.
Especially as family, the children and me, we just could not be back home and be in touch with them. And of course, operation details are never shared with us. But we would know if somebody is coming to meet for a specific, we would know, and we would have to disappear, handle it, whatever. So, in fact, the interesting part is before we go on a posting, the first posting, that's not always. As wives, we are taken through a short 3-4 day training. Then we are also taught to be aware if you're being followed or if somebody is dropping a message. So it kind of helps us when we are on a posting. But I think things have changed now, Ravi, isn't it? After the 9/11, there's been a little easing up of sharing between their agencies. Made our lives a little easier also. So of course, we are not supposed to reveal who we are. We can't talk about anything. So we go as when we are outside. Even within India, when we are here, we do not know what my husband is actually doing. For what is he sitting late at night at 10 o'clock, 11 or 12 o'clock? He's waiting for something, but it's not supposed to be revealed to me. My husband, for what he's doing, can say it.
One gentleman was asking about visas, issuance of visas.
Sorry?
Issuance of visas, issuing of visas.
Okay.
I lived in Meerut from 76 to 81, and we used to read the Times of Hindustan Times every day. That we used to get the paper, and every day there would be advertisement. 4 or 5 times, 4 or 5 people would be writing, Afghan passport so and so bearing so and so number belonging to so and so is lost.
Shalini, did you understand the question? Can you repeat what she said?
In Meerut, where they live, that
Meerut means Delhi papers.
Afghan passport number, etc., being lost. That's the
Yeah. Then why every day 4 or 5 such advertisements would appear?
Afghan passports?
Yes. In those days, I'm talking about nearly 50 years ago, issuing of visas. So, from 76 to 81, when we were living in the north, we used to read the Hindustan Times, and every day there would be some small classified advertisements showing Afghan passports bearing number so and so belonging to so and so has been lost.
And so it's possible that they were losing their passport. Suppose, if I have to get a new passport, I have to make 2 things. I have to make a police complaint and I have to issue a press note. One newspaper advertisement ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ನನ್ನ passport loss ಆಯ್ತು. So ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
So I have a slightly technical question. So as you're looking at the digital age right now, and I have been to Pakistan quite a few times in one of my jobs, literally like 20-25 times. And I found the curiosity about the Indian side very, very high amongst the average guy, especially guys who moved from India. And I find that given the digital age, it's possibly much easier to spy there now than earlier. So the question is that is RAW or any other agents really focusing on that? Is there a strategy? Well, I think that India is probably missing a trick or two by not really using that route.
Pakistanis are very good friends. Okay, and my son has a very good Pakistani friend. So we mix very easily, and even when I was posted in the embassy outside, I used to have very good Pakistani friends.
So that makes it easier.
Time he plans, or in his mind he thinks that India should now have a different approach to dealing with
No. He had that approach for a long time.
So in that scene they show that he was, his hands were tied, and so he could not do anything about it. And the new government, when
that's what I'm saying. In the film, they use this dialogue.
But
no. The power. Then I will hand over. That is nonsense. That cannot happen. Even neither Dowell nor Shivshankar Menon or M.K. Narayan, they were the NS. I worked with, and nobody will behave like that. Who was the DG of Maharashtra Police? This Gauri Barwankar has written a book about her life between the Barelvis and the other groups.
Namaste, Jagannath here.
Switch on the mic, please.
Thank you very much. Sir, I have a very simple observation, sir.
Yeah.
Many thanks. I'm worried because from an infodemic point of view, infodemic is misinformation and disinformation. Meeting money, Kantara. My simple question is, how much of community enabling is going on? Something like facts check. For example, there are so many things which are not at all factual. It's the community to live through these gimmicks of sharing facts in a great hatred to create disbelief. Prajavani, for example, they have a cost check. There is an effort to.
Yeah.
Good morning. Now we are in this changing world order. How do you foresee that spectrum changing for us as a country?
How do
we foresee the threat spectrum changing for our country?
One is the field analysis desk. The analysis desk is constantly getting inputs from all over the world.
Like our agencies cooperate with international agencies to learn about other countries. Now, what could these, let's say A and B,
assessment?
So, very good afternoon. This is Rajat. First of all, let me say thank you for your service for our country. I would like to know a recent thing that took place. There was a news that our PM Modi was planned to be a part of the assassination, and the KGB from Russia and its intelligence team was active and prevented it. And there was another news where a CIA
if he was involved in, I cannot accept this on the face value because there is a very big American embassy, major operation of every intelligence. I will not go by this.
Sir, I wanted to bring your attention to the scene in the movie where Hamza Ali, he gives an import to Ajay Sanyan based on the FICL, like you mentioned, the counterfeit of currency. So he tells that the currencies which are being printed in with the help of Kanani brothers, they are being passed to Qatar, and then from there it's being airlifted to Nepal border, and from there it's smuggled to our UP through the international borders. So, and also there's also one more scene where Ajay Sanyal tells that, like you just told that the NSA can't withhold the intel report, and even in that scene, Ajay Sanyal, he withholds the intel report. It's like the government in UP is not favorable. It's not a nationalistic government.
No, that is nonsense.
In 2007, it was BSP, and again we have Samajwadi Party. And the onset of Adityanath government, it comes in 2016, I guess. So till then, do they withhold the report of FICN? Because it's a very large thing which can hamper the economic interest of the country.
Chandra Bahini or something like that. Okay? These fellows did not have a recognizable face as a leader.
Sir, can you answer? One question is, my question is that one regarding hijacking in pre-1971 war, from this one Amritsar to Lahore. Government didn't use the method of Mossad, which has killed those hijackers who killed
Mr. Joshi is our target to do 2 events every month. So we look forward to having you on all our events. Yeah. Just wanted to share that we talk about it. Once again, thanks for coming.
Okay. Was working with an American passport, British passport, different country passports to Dubai. They checked into the same hotel, and this fellow went to play tennis and came back, and he was in his room, and they entered into his room and they strangled him and they killed him. Okay, he was in different countries. All those countries protested to Israel. How dare you use our passport? You can.